Entitled people are everywhere. Anyone who has ever worked in customer service or dealt with a greedy family member could tell you that. But those people are absolute angels compared to the entitled jerks in this video. And we saved the worst for last. A total Karen who went after a paramedic while he was in the middle of saving a man's life. I'm allergic to hand sanitizer, alcohol wipes, generally anything that has an alcohol base. I even bring my own soap because I can have a reaction to some soaps. I can't even drink the stuff without my lips swelling. My old boss was my cousin, so when COVID hit, I didn't really have a problem until he got promoted and got transferred to a new office. Enter our new boss. We got a mass email going over our new safety procedures, and one of the new procedures is that we all have to use hand sanitizer and antiseptic wipes. I sent an email to HR telling them about my allergies with medical documents. They sent back saying that I don't have to use the hand sanitizer and antiseptic wipes and that they put it in my file. However, they then sent the exact email to my new boss. His reply was infuriating. He said that all employees have to follow the new safety procedures, with no exceptions. When I replied with, if I use those products, I will need medical attention, he then sent me another email saying that if any employee doesn't follow the new safety procedures correctly, they'd be fired. I sent copies of the emails to our union rep and HR department. They replied that they would talk to him and basically told me to ignore him unless he tries to actually fire me. But the ordeal was just beginning. I go to work and my new boss is literally waiting for me at my desk with a bottle of hand sanitizer in his hands, asking me to hold out my hands. I replied saying, no thanks, I'd rather not go to the hospital today. What he did next was so twisted, it's unforgettable. He got mad and literally grabbed my hand and squirted sanitizer on it, then rubbed it in. He then said, see, that wasn't so bad. I tried to go to the bathroom to wash it off, but he blocked me. Well, I had a bad reaction. Thank God I had an EpiPen in my desk. My boss kept saying I thought he was lying until I was put into the ambulance, but I couldn't hear him. A member of the HR department came to visit me in hospital, probably making sure I don't sue, and informed me that he was fired. Wow, what a wild story. I can't even begin to try to understand what this jerk boss thought he would achieve by involuntarily spraying someone with hand sanitizer. Even if the allergy was super mild, that's seriously twisted. This happened a few years ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday, and to be honest, I still can't understand what my sister was thinking. So, my sister and I had to share everything as kids. Because I was older and our mother was gone a lot, I basically raised her. And for most of my childhood, I was happy to share things with my sister. Sweets, snacks, toys, the normal kid things. There are 4 years between us. I'm the oldest, and as you can probably guess, when I reached my teen years, I wanted my own things and to spend time alone. Nope, she wanted me to do everything with her. I could barely spend 2 minutes in the bathroom before she would start banging on the door. And then our situation got worse. When I was around 15, my siblings and I were taken into foster care. We were separated from our brother, which was difficult for both of us. So for a while, I didn't mind my sister wanting to spend all her time with me. Shortly after my 16th birthday though, I wanted to have my own space and things that are, well, mine. She would argue with me over not sharing my stuff, and of course, typical sibling fights and yelling happened almost every other day. We sort of grew out of our sibling squabbles over the years. But our troubles weren't over yet. She developed a huge attitude, like the world owed her something, which drove me crazy. I did my best to hold in my frustrations, but I'm only human and I kinda snapped. When I told her she needed to check her attitude, she freaked out and we stopped speaking as much. We reconciled briefly until I got pregnant. After my daughter was born, she got a selfish attitude towards me, spending most of my time and income on my daughter. During one of the times we were on good terms, she was over for the weekend and everything was okay at first. I was talking about my daughter somewhere when she told me she was going to take my daughter for a week. And the reason why was seriously deranged. It was because she wanted to spend time with her because it was her turn. I said, not gonna happen. She is my daughter, not a doll or a pet we share. She got mad and started yelling. Then she took it to the next level. When I told her to leave, she said she had parental rights and she was going to get social services to give her my daughter. I laughed and then I told her to get out and don't come back. What, is this person serious? It sounds like she honestly believed that she had a right to take this kid away from her mother all because she's an aunt? I can't believe what I just read. Imagine feeling that entitled to a kid that isn't even yours. When my daughter was almost 3, We were at a used bookstore. I was looking at cookbooks while my husband was in the kids section with our daughter. I noticed some redhead woman talking to my husband. I went back to the books for a couple of minutes. When I look up, the woman is still talking, but more talking at him than to him. He was starting to look very uncomfortable. I can tell she is hitting on him by the way he held up his hand and pointed to his wedding ring. I thought it was funny, so I hung back and let this play out for a few minutes. Mostly to laugh about it later. As I watch, my daughter goes to him and wraps her arm around him. Then things get even funnier. She gave this woman the nastiest look I had ever seen on her face. I started to walk over because I can tell that my daughter is about to say something to this woman that I will either laugh at or that will warrant some kind of intervention. As I get almost to them, my daughter tells the woman that her daddy already has a mommy for her. But then she takes it to the next level. She tells the woman if she doesn't get away from him, she's going to puke on her. The woman, not knowing I was behind her, told my daughter that her daddy didn't have a mommy to go with him, and daddies needed mommies. My daughter looked at me with a look that clearly stated, "She is an idiot, get her away from me now." It was finally time for me to step in. I walk past the woman and up to my husband. I put my arm around him and lean into him. Then I put my hand wearing my wedding ring up on his chest as I looked at her. The redhead doesn't have the sense to just leave the area. But that's not the worst part. She had to start a rant about how I should have been right by him if I ever wanted to keep him. Now he could go with her and divorce me because she would never be away from him. And how I don't deserve a man and she does. She tells me she is just going to replace me and raise my kids as her own. I just looked at my husband and twirled my finger by my ear. You know, the universal "this person is crazy" motion. She loses it. She starts saying she wants to fight me over him. That whichever one of us wins will get him. I asked her if she seriously thought that I would bother with a fight. He was already mine and I don't believe in fights. Then this lunatic starts screaming that I'm trying to kill her. At that point, my daughter had enough. She walked over to the lady and waited until the woman bent down to talk to her. Then my daughter puked all over her and sort of up onto her neck so that when she stood up, it ran down her shirt. Staff was already on the way over and wanted to know why the lady was screaming. I told them that she was hitting on my husband and then wanted to fight me for him. She was just being an idiot. Then she got my daughter all upset, so my daughter puked. I cleaned our daughter up and had her rinse out her mouth. On the way home, my husband insisted we stop and buy her some ice cream. When I asked my daughter why she thought she needed to puke on the lady, her reaction was legendary. My daughter told me that we had already spent enough time talking and it clearly wasn't going anywhere. So she ended it. My daughter has always had a way of cutting through the garbage in life. This might be the funniest story I've ever read this entire time I've been doing these. This kid is absolutely hilarious. She is going places. I have pretty bad hearing issues and wear hearing aids. Normally when I fly, I leave them in for the safety check, then pull them and promptly check out. I was on my way back from work-related travel and had the cheapest, most awful seat on the plane. About 30 minutes into the flight, this guy starts having an epic meltdown. Apparently the Wi-Fi on the plane is too slow for him and he starts pounding and banging on the seat in front of him. He then hits my tray with his knee, knocking my hearing aids up and away. I try to get up to catch them and he hits me right in the face. I'm a 5'3" tall, 100-pound girl, and this guy is like 6 feet tall and pretty big. He sent me hard to the floor. I was told that after that, someone restrained him. The plane turned back around and he was escorted off the plane. The attendants were super nice and the other passengers helped me find my hearing aids. I still don't know what happened entirely, but they let me lay down across 2 first-class seats with an ice pack over my face for the rest of the cross-country flight. Imagine getting yourself kicked off a flight and maybe banned from flying altogether, all because the Wi-Fi doesn't work? And that's not to mention knocking out another person. That's some serious entitlement. I work IT at a small non-profit. We have a kitchen/staff room and supply free coffee, tea, milk, sugar, etc. During the pandemic, all staff were working from home, but then the staff came back gradually, including myself and, unfortunately, Karen. Now, Karen and I have had many run-ins over the years, and suffice to say, we don't get along. It's mostly because I can't tolerate her bad behavior. A week or so after being back, Karen sends a condescending email to the office manager, CCing all staff. I couldn't believe what she wrote, in which she says that while she accepts that the office kitchen had not been stocked when everyone was on lockdown, she is appalled that there is no bread, bagels, yogurts, etc. for staff that have returned. The office manager hit reply all and instantly put her in her place. She wrote, "Karen, as a courtesy to staff, we provide free coffee, tea, milk, and sugar, all of which have been stocked. We have never provided free bread, bagels, yogurt, or other food. Yep, she's outed herself as the office food thief. This hits at the very heart of what it means to be entitled, expecting everything you want to come to you without ever thinking for a second about where it came from or how it got there. I love the reply she got, and I wish I could have seen the look on her face when she realized what she'd done. When I was a kid, I never cut my hair, so I had very long blonde hair. A lot of people would ask to touch it, and I was fine with it, as long as they had my permission. This incident happened when my mom and I were at a grocery store when I was 6. We were almost done, but she sent me to get the bread she forgot across the store. When I got to the bread, I picked out the brand we would usually buy, and at the time I really liked baguettes and other types of bread. So when I saw the baguettes, I totally forgot that my mom was waiting for me, and grabbed one and headed back to my mom. When I was heading back to my mom from the bread aisle, I felt someone pull on my hair. Not gently, no, they yanked it. They pulled so hard I thought my hair was going to come out. And I yelped so hard my mom heard me across the store. I turned around in shock. It turned out it was a kid about my age who wanted to touch my hair. But that's not the crazy part. It was his mom, and I say his 40-year-old mother, who pulled my hair so her friggin' kid could touch it. My mom rushed over and told the lady to let go of me. She said, "My child just wanted to touch her hair. She has very pretty hair." My mom told her, "You could have just asked. You can't just pull a kid's hair. I can call 911 for assault." Then things escalated. The woman said, "You're harassing me. All I did was let my son touch her hair. And I can call the authorities on you for harassing me and my child." My mom was like, "Sure, bet. Call the cops. You'll only make it worse for yourself." I'd never seen her like that. It was amazing. And the most important part, she was absolutely right. The entitled mom did call the cops, and they took both our statements. The entitled mother had given an over-exaggerated and dramatic report, telling the officers, as we would find out later, that I had given consent for her child to touch my hair. She told them my mom had come out of nowhere and started harassing her. My mother gave the cops the actual report from her side. They checked the security footage and saw what actually happened. In the end, she got what was coming to her. My mom decided to press charges on the entitled mom for assault. Not only did she have to serve time, 6 months in jail, but she was also given a hefty fine for providing a false report to the police. Never mess with a kid, ever, especially when their mom is nearby. How is this so hard to understand? I work in the marketing department of a small company. I'm not what you would call higher up in the company, but I'm not entry level either. Earlier today, I went to the office's break room to make a cup of tea. A woman talking on her phone came into the room as I was waiting for the kettle to boil. I had no idea what I was in for. I recognized her as one of our new hires from sales. I doubt she'd been working long enough to get her first check. She was talking loudly, but I ignored her. It's a somewhat loud office, so it isn't a big deal for someone to make a little noise. A minute or so later, she says into the phone, "Hold on, I need some privacy," and then turns to me. I couldn't believe what she said. She goes, "Excuse me, sorry, I'm on a private call. I need you to leave." I'm confused at first, then what she says registers. I get this surprised smile on my face, the kind that says, "Are you kidding?" I tell her no. She gives me a look. Her mouth is open, eyes wide. How dare I use the common area for what it's for? She doesn't even say anything. I point to the kettle. I tell her I'm making tea. She tells me that it is an important medical call. I tell her the kitchen isn't a private room and that she can go to an empty conference room or to her car if the matter is that sensitive. What she said next was even more ridiculous. She tells me that she doesn't like the chairs in the conference room and that it's too cold to walk out to her car. I shrug. She eventually gets that I'm not leaving until I've had my tea, and she stomps off to a conference room. I hate being a tattletale, but this behavior was so out of pocket, I had to say something. I walk down to sales and chat with her supervisor, whom I know fairly well. About the time I finish relaying the experience, the woman in question walks in, sees me, and stops in her tracks. I point her out to the supervisor, pat him on the back, and walk away to my office. Whoops, good luck, newbie. If you're that delusional and act that entitled to a shared space when you're new at a job, well, I can't see you lasting that long. I was at the scene when a guy collapsed and had a serious heart attack. Paramedics came quickly, but this woman pulled up behind them, screaming that they'd cut her off. They ignored her as they attended to the unconscious man. But what she did to get their attention was so twisted, it's unforgettable. She demanded the paramedic look at her as she melts down while he's starting CPR on the victim. The paramedic is ignoring her entirely, but has to get something from the truck. She blocks his way and gets moved aside as he goes to the truck. But Karen wasn't done yet. This is where she pulls out pepper spray and hoses the standing paramedic directly in the face. She's still not done, and she sprays the second paramedic on the ground. Then, just for the trifecta, she hoses down the heart attack victim, while screaming he was too young to have a heart attack. I took it as my cue to remove her pepper spray and hold on to her, with others, until the cops arrived. Still, others were trying to help with CPR, while someone tried to help the paramedics wash their eyes out. Amidst all the chaos, the cops arrived, and Karen was immediately put in handcuffs. Her reaction was deranged. She attempted to bite and kick the cops, which resulted in her getting hogtied and her shirt pulled over her face. And then she somehow made it worse. They arrest her and she starts shouting, "Do you know who I am?" Ultimately, she got what she deserved. They charged her with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a weapon on paramedics, 2 counts of assault on officers, 1 count of aggravated assault with a weapon on the heart attack victim who survived, and resisting arrest. But that's not all. She also is being sued by the heart attack victim for $10 million, which she apparently has. Her trial is coming up. I bought a new suit for it, and I will be there to testify as a witness with bells on. The entire event is on video from 2 cameras and who knows how many cell phones. It will be interesting to see what her high-powered lawyers are going to cook up. But ultimately, I hope she will be convicted. She's facing a possible 65 years, but probably will only get about 10 maximum, if any prison time. But she's already started to pay the price for her terrible behavior. I later found out through the grapevine in our town that her husband is a bank vice president and refused to pony up for her bail. It took her 13 days for her lawyer to finally convince her family to bail her out. You have to be seriously deluded and narcissistic to try and stop paramedics from saving a man's life just because you were inconvenienced. Thank God it seems like this lady is getting what's coming for her. That's the last of our stories for today, but check out the rest of our channel for more videos full of jaw-dropping tales taken straight from real life.